Welcome to the Good Rookie Show. My name's Faheem.
My name is Nelly J, y'all, and we are Good
That's
Rookies.
right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's the Good Rookie Show.
Yep, yep. Let's go.
Yo, so as y'all know, we come in from Toronto, Canada, bringing you all the hottest topics in sports and culture, and of course, all the absurd topics as well. And this week is no other. So, Fahim, I'm gonna start this episode real quick because I know people want to hear our thoughts on Mr. Kyrie situation with the Nets. So, quick question: we saw that they gave him requirements. I just want your thoughts on the requirements. Do you think what they publish he's going to actually do, or do you think NBPA, which, as you know, Jalen Brown commented, thought that they were too extreme? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to do the requirements. Um, I just kind of, I guess I'll quickly just do this. I see, I'll draw a comparison to the Jordan Clarkson Draymond Green incident, where Jordan Clarkson,
Jordan
he
Poole?
got
Jordan Poole?
my bad, Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Poole. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
You're welcome.
my bad, Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. So we can all agree that Jordan Poole, maybe as a teammate, shouldn't be mouthing off to a veteran. Maybe as a teammate, shouldn't walk up to a veteran and push him first. Those things we can agree shouldn't happen. But
He
we
didn't
also
walk up to him. Draymond walked up to him first. Sorry, just to
okay.
clarify.
That's fine. Fine. Okay. So Draymond walked up to him. Shouldn't push him. Shouldn't have pushed him. And Draymond shouldn't have used excessive force to the push he got. Like getting punched dead in your face is a little different than getting pushed in the chest. I kind of feel that's the same way with the NBA and Kyrie, where if one wants to say whatever you want to say about Kyrie, maybe I've been hearing, people say, oh, he should have explained himself better, et cetera. Yeah, there's things that maybe he could have done. But I feel like the league and what they've deemed is acceptable for his list, I feel that's equivalent to like a Draymond Green punch in the face. It's a little bit excessive to what was put out there. So I'll land there with that. I
Question
think
is, so will he do it? For him, y'all, did you ask the question? He talked around
it,
the question. Will he do it? Yes or no? Question.
will Kyrie.
Go through,
So,
like, actually do that list, or do you think they're gonna have to adjust it?
oh, yeah, I
That's
think
the question.
he's not going to do that. I think
Okay.
what's going to happen is the player association is going to step in, find a way to find a middle ground. But the listing that they have there, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. I think he thinks it's ridiculous, and I don't think he's going to go ahead with it. How about you?
Yeah, okay. We're on the same page. Yeah, because I thought the same thing as well. The NBA understand they want to show proof that they're going to deal with it, but or that list came from, I think, Brooklyn. It didn't come from the NBA, it came from Brooklyn. But I just think owners, you don't, I guess you own the team, but players have rights, they have union rights. I say all the time, I'm like, when they leaked that for him, I said, yo, this is not going to help their situation because owners always want to maintain power, right? They own the team, but players have rights. So you telling the public what Kyrie has to do to appease the public, I think it's a bad call. I think what
Mhm.
they should have done is said, hey, players union, we want to uh, propose this to your player, right? What's your thoughts? Because then if they agree with you, you have a stronger connection going forward. I think now it's going to create this thing of the players have rights. He didn't say anything anti-Semitic. He didn't actually
Mhm.
come out. And no offense, I'm an Ant-Man fan, but when Ant-Man made that comment that was derogatory towards queers, when Kevin Durant made a comment in private to whatever, that didn't make them do no training. Like you know what I'm saying? They got fined. They got fined and by, right? So it has to be consistent to your point for him. It has to be consistent. Draymond got fined. But Draymond, did he have to go to temper management or anger management? Is he doing a list of stuff as well? Like, I just think when it comes to these situations, the NBA is so inconsistent to your point, Fahim. And I think that's why the owner went to NBA Players Association and say, hey, player situation with one of your guys, we want to propose this and get their backing. Because I think if they did it that way, right now people are just like, y'all are being excessive. So I mean, so that's my
Very no.
situation as well. So I do think Kyrie, I think that list will be redacted a lot and reduced a lot. Because again, he never outright said anything bad. He made a mistake, made an error. We all can agree that, and those who were offended, rightfully so. But for him to do all that, come on, man. We've seen
Too
guys.
much.
Come on, man. Let's
Too
keep it
much.
consistent. That's all.
Right. And I want to say one other thing. You remember Danny Ferry with Luol Deng, that situation? If anyone
Mm,
doesn't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Danny Ainge, Jordan Clarkson. My names are all over the place. So
yes, you beat me today.
Danny Ferry. He was the GM for the Atlanta Hawks at the time. He had Luol Deng. Documents showed that he made some anti-black, I guess if we're going with the antis, terms toward Luol Deng. League found out. He got a little bit of pressure, and he was forced to leave his position at GM of the Hawks. 2 years later, he finds himself as a interim position at the New Orleans Pelicans. He was allowed to get his job back. He didn't have to do anything, nothing, no training, no nothing. He just slipped back into a position without anything to the community, to the Black community at all. Throwing that out there. So, like, yeah, I'm totally with you. It's got to be consistent, and we can't pick and
Consistent.
choose when we're going to do that. So, I'm with you.
Yep, yep. We're gonna fine, then fine. Are we gonna fine and then demand them pay to a charity? Like, come on, man, keep it consistent. Because I didn't
Mhm.
hear other players who made anti comments to whether it be the LGBTQ plus A community. If I'm missing something,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Don't come at me. I'm not, but I believe that that's the community name as well as anything else. I just don't like. We can't just now demand players to donate and get fined and do come on, like we
Mm.
have to keep it consistent. And even that scenario, he admitted to his wrongdoing and he apologized in
Mhm.
his own way, but then came out outright and said sorry on Instagram. And a lot of people that I know that's from that community, they said that was good. So
Mhm.
I just don't understand why the excessive now items. So
Mhm.
let's just, watch it slowly because I think this might change a lot of things. But the NBA got to be consistent. We can't just pick and choose when we want to demand you to do training and not.
Right. Right.
And sorry, not the NBA, sorry, owners. Like owners have to have a consistency. And I think all of that has to go through player and the players union. That's why you have those people to
Mhm.
protect players. So I'm curious to see how this now affects or how this now changes the player code conduct as well as how they move forward with different things. Because this past year, a lot has happened in the NBA. So and we
Mhm.
know they're talking with the CBA right now in terms of
Mhm.
the basketball association and what they're going to be coming up with
Mhm.
between the owners and players. So wow, Faheem, I'm curious to see how this is going to change up things there. But I know they're going to add mental health as a as a the physical injury. So now you can miss a game due to mental health and like physical ailment. So
Mhm.
we're gonna see how else this is added or redacted or changed up. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. And since we're on talking about consistency and the NBA and what they're handing out, the Philadelphia 76ers on the offseason, they've lost 2 picks due to tampering. And that's something that's been a word that's been going around for the last few years now, I'd probably say. This is more, I think, the higher profile ones that actually have been out there. It was PJ Tucker and who was the other player? Tucker
And
and
House
Daniel
Junior,
House,
Daniel
right?
House.
House Jr.
Mhm.
So those two from the Rockets coming over to Philadelphia, making Philadelphia,
Well, PJ Tucker came from
Oh, from the
Miami.
Bucks. Oh,
Miami. He was in a
Bucks, Miami.
Miami.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. All over the place. Okay. So PJ Tucker and House over in Philadelphia. I guess at 6 p.m. Sharp is when the door is supposed to open for free
Hmm.
agency. They signed shortly after, maybe 6:07 or 6:08, and that's where people the inconsistency is pretty much NBA insiders are saying, well, you know what? These conversations are being had well before 6 p.m. of that
I mean,
day.
come on. Like, I
Right.
mean, first of all, like it's so funny to me this tampering conversation for him because
Mhm.
I just feel like it's been happening, but we all know they're like every team tampers. They all
Right.
tamper. Like I'm
Right.
sorry, like they all
Right.
tamper.
Like
Players
players.
tamper,
Yeah, I
coaches
was gonna say.
tamper, they tamper. Whenever they leave their house, they're tampering. They're tampering as they leave the door. Okay, like so they can't control it. But I
Right.
think what you're gonna do is then say like I think they had numbers too, like 601, 602. Like if a deal is signed and agreed to a minute after the deadline, clearly they're tampering. But they always go after the high profile ones,
Hmm.
the smaller ones. So my thing is
Hmm.
that they gotta be consistent, right? Investigate all the teams because at the end of the day, if it's under 5 minutes of the free agency being available, there's no way every team was able to pitch their trade offer to that team.
Yeah.
So clearly they're tampering. So my
Hmm.
thing is that tampering is happening. So why don't you like find a way to monitor unless the NBA is gonna hire what the tampering police? They're gonna come around and what? I mean, if I'm gonna do a tampering police, I'm definitely gonna get some strippers in there because they're sorry, exotic dancers in there because they know all the ends. I'm just saying, if I'm gonna get tampering police, no, but like listen, what you want to do, NBA? Are you about this or not? Because if you're about this, Faheem, I'm getting some exotic dancers. I'm getting some club owner. Listen, not club owners because maybe they have their own thing, but I'm gonna hire some people to go undercover because you're not gonna catch it.
Hmm.
You're not gonna catch it, guys.
Hmm.
Like no way.
Yeah.
Every time, listen, the All Star break, it's a tampering fiasco. Call it All Star break hashtag the tampering ex, extravaganza, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, come on, guys, it's gonna happen. So either you don't do anything or you do something. But
Hmm.
like, I just think that even like $10 million up to like, come on, y'all. Like this is Faheem. I just think that the NBA they do it to show face that they care, and I think they only investigate to your point if another owner complains. So, i.e., um, our boy Kalari. I mean, rumor had it based on another NBA player on his podcast. He mentioned that the Pelicans owner was upset because he wanted Kyle Lowry, another player, and he wanted the Bulls and he wanted the Bulls and Miami to be investigated for tampering because he's like, how come they got those players and they had a better offer allegedly? Please don't come
Hmm.
after me, Pelicans owner. I ain't got that kind of money, but allegedly that happened. So my thing is that I get it because especially for mid market and small market teams, it's already sucks that sucks, but it's already hard to get big agency to come to you. Now you're competing with these bigger groups, but then they have branches and extensions and ways to tamper and be undetected, right? So I get it. But the NBA, either you're in it or you're not. Okay. But you can't be in this kind of wishy-washy thing. Like, yes, I understand they tampered, but I'm sure all the trades that happened between 601 and 605 tampered as well, Fahim. I'm gonna land
Hmm.
there.
No, and I got nothing really to tack onto that. You covered all the points that I could have touched on. It's true. It's too early. It's any early ones. They've had conversation before. Players are going to be players. Like you imagine someone texting somebody and saying, "Oh, you know what? Maybe we should wait till 6:01 to have this conversation from their personal phones. Like, what's going on here? Like,
Or the All-Star game. Yo, what up,
yeah,
bro? I'm
yeah,
like, you know what, bro? I can't, man. I'm not listen, let's just talk 601 on this date.
Six-
Come on, man.
yeah,
They're
and
drinking, they're having a good time. Come on, man. They all
it's,
be tampering for him. You can't
especially
control
when
it.
you have players nowadays that are finding out that they've been traded through social media nowadays. You know what I mean? Like I remember like you mentioned the All-Star game. There was an All-Star game where DeMarcus Cousins found out whatever team he was going to, he found out during the All-Star break at a presser where someone's telling him and he's like, "Oh, really?
Oh,
Like I
by the
didn't know."
way,
So
the Marcus you're being
so
traded. Oh, really? At the also what the audacity. But that's the thing, right? And even like when Masai, remember when they took Masai's phone and Masai was like, bruh, take it, I don't care. You would think Masai, if he was to ever tamper, would do it on his own phone. Like, come like
mm, mhm, mhm.
now
Mm,
again, I don't know anything, but I'm just saying, like, I think
yeah.
every person that is involved, first of all, Masai is president now. Like he doesn't have to do a trade. That's Bobby Webster. But the fact that you think that like those who are
Mhm.
tampering are gonna put it on their actual NBA cell phone that you guys can like, I just think it's really for him, it's just funny to me.
Yeah. So the
Anyway.
NBA is actually at a crossroads with a lot of things. We're talking about tampering in regards to draft picks. We're also talking about tampering in regards to teams tanking for the lottery. There's a lot of things that I understand the NBA's position. You want to keep up the integrity of the league. So I'd like no shots of them, but I think they really have to create realistic guidelines for someone to follow.
Mhm.
If you actually push things to the limit, then you just make it where it's so easy to be broken and no one
Yeah, I
respects what
agree.
you put out in the first place. So,
I agree. And I mean,
mhm.
safe to say that I don't think anyone's tanking this year thus far. God mercy. Like, I feel like every team's playing their hardest right now. Like,
Mm,
there's not really any tankers yet. Um, I mean, Sacramento was tanking from last year, from like, but this year they're actually actually no, they
Good
weren't
team.
tanking. They play really hard actually. That's a bad example, but yeah, like every team is playing hard every game. Like there's not really any team I could think of that I'm like, oh, they don't really care. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So yeah, like I think tanking starts when do you think in the NBA? Like February, March?
Yeah.
Cause that's when OKC sits Shea. And it gets said by around February after All-Star break. Okay, that's enough,
Yeah.
Shay. Have a seat.
That's enough trying to win. That's enough trying to win
Thank you
for
so
now.
much, sir, for your time. Appreciate you.
uh yeah, so and with like we mentioned, PJ Tucker and House going to Philadelphia, it was overturned, obviously. So they were not. I'm just trying to see here. It says 14 million. So looks like at the end of the day, they end up beating the case that was put up against them, right?
Against
Uh,
PJ and House.
against PJ and House, right?
Oh,
PJ and
so they had a
House.
case. Hold up, the NBA went after them themselves directly. The players.
Uh,
I did not know that. I thought the only one after the team. So the team lost and they had to puff up
yes.
their picks. But oh my
So the
gosh.
team. Let me just double check here because it says the penalties of fines are up to 10 million in loss of draft picks.
Yeah, that's the maximums, but I think all
Mhm.
Philly got was the two. They lost the draft picks. I don't think there was a fine associated I don't think a fine was associated with their thing. So I think that's all they lost.
That's all they got. Okay.
Yeah. So they're
Okay.
guilty, but
Hmm.
it could have been
They
worse.
look, yeah.
I mean, they had I guess that had been Simmons, so they're trying to give him some grace.
Hmm. Right.
Philly's a gong show, man. Honestly, like from the Ben
Yeah.
Simmons to then tampering, like what are we doing, guys?
So
What is
much
going on?
drama. I mean, it stems
Some
even back
some
to
teams just have drama. Like 76ers, I feel
Colangelo with the burner account, and like it's just a lot of things going on in Philadelphia from time since the trust the process. I don't know.
there's too much
Um,
happening. Anyways, but
mhm,
we're gonna see because the Jazz had they had a process. I was told they were gonna figure it out and win, and they traded away their pieces,
mhm, mhm.
matched up the entire free agency market. So let's see what happens now with these teams. Yeah, the NBA is just it's the guys. If you ever want a soap opera, man, just turn on the NBA. So much is going on.
Um, so LJ, let's go for the culture.
For the culture. We like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today we get to highlight the Clippers, another team, Faheem, that traded away a lot of players to get
Gave up
this
a lot.
guy.
Hmm.
And they have not done anything yet, but we still have to celebrate him for the culture because he's doing big things. And that is Paul George.
Yep.
So Paul George, for those who don't know, he is a Clippers star. Had a very promising career. Then he had the worst injury I've ever witnessed in my life in the NBA. Came back and wasn't the same, but still very a threat. This man is offense, defense, like one of the best two-way wings. And I think would have been an all-star if not for getting injured last year. So Andrew Wiggins, make sure you shake his hands for that. But um, Paul George actually partnered with BetterHelp, which is one of the largest online therapy platforms. And they help people better manage their own mental health. So, for those who don't know, and those who remembered, Paul George had one of the most moments, I would say, in his career, in the bubble. And one thing he quoted saying was, I underestimated mental health. Honestly, I had anxiety, a little bit of depression, and just being locked in here. I wasn't there. I checked out. And so he opened up about his mental health in 2020. And
Hmm.
so that's something that he was able to I would say even admit to. And I just think, we look at these players, Fahim, as just like these gladiators, right? They're men of men, right? They're tall, they're strong, but you know, the mental is as important for the cognitive to help you even, the functionality to perform on that stage, especially in the playoffs, right? And they lost, if they were up 3-1, they lost. Their coach was Doc Rivers. Blame was tossed everywhere. But, Paul George spoke about his struggles in the bubble. So he's actually donating $3 million of his own money to help provide therapy services to people who need it. And so I just think that not only is he and kind of coming forward with his mental health and what and his battle in that realm, he now wants to help other people battle it, right? And I think that's such an amazing thing. So I gotta big up Paul George for this
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful gesture to better help. Your thoughts on this, Faheem?
First, I think it's amazing. Over the last few years, I probably say the last 4 or 5 years, players, like you mentioned about being gladiators and, just big tough guys. And, uh, DeMar DeRozan's come out with mental health. Kevin Love, Paul
Mm-hmm.
George. And I think it's great to have, notable players because there is kind of a stigmatism around mental health. It's not something that they actually, you're even taught. What's funny thing is I remember in gym class and you take health, talked about the physical body, sex, all those things in school, but I don't ever mentioning or ever being taught about mental health.
Yeah,
It's not some so here's an opportunity right now. There's 4 different types of mental health. And when we do, we talk about mental health kind of casually, you think maybe like the extreme, like schizophrenia, but it comes in different, there's different types. One is mood disorders, so depression, bipolar disorder. That's, I would assume, would be one of the more common ones that you don't have to, that's one that you really can't see, but life has its ups and downs. Um, Anybody can have a bout with depression. No one, I don't think,
absolutely.
susceptible
Or a
to
moment of depression that
a
can
moment.
happen to
Exactly. Right.
anyone.
Anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second one would be anxiety disorders, and even anxiety. That's something that that's something that what happens in life could affect anybody, also, right?
Yeah, and I think everyone has a sense of anxiety. I think
Hmm.
some just have the some have anxiety and not and don't know like what causes it, or they
Right.
have anxiety and they can't even help it. It's just like
Right.
an innate response or auto response to life. And
Hmm.
so yeah, like that's a tough one with anxiety
Hmm.
because that one you can't even tell unless like they have like a behavioral issue or but sometimes they have anxiety and they're really quiet. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like they're quiet people. So anxiety can be in any type. Like a lot of people can have it. Quiet people. People think anxiety has one look. Like
Hmm.
depression, it doesn't have a look. It could be
No.
anyone.
Hmm. Um, Third one is personality disorders. So that one, I think, actually, I'm going to get the definition for
So
personality
that one I
disorders.
think is more like
Mhm.
psychopaths, like people that have like more of it's kind of like personality. So they have multiple personalities, stuff like that,
Mhm.
I think, from what
Okay, so
I
I actually have
remember. But you have it there? Okay, good.
yeah, I got a definition. So an overview of a personality disorder is a type of mental disorder in which you have a rigid or unhealthy pattern of thinking, functioning, and behaving.
Yeah, so that's probably I think the three types of personality disorders from what I'm seeing here, there's antisocial personality disorder, borderline
Hmm.
personality,
Hmm.
and histrionic personality
Okay.
disorder.
Hmm.
Yeah, so look at us all learning together, y'all. God, because I was like, what? What's the term? So yeah, and I think so including in that, there's a
Hold on. Let me get to the
schizotypical.
fourth because we're still on three on
Okay,
three. So we're on mood disorders, anxiety disorders, personality disorders, and the last disorder is psychotic disorders, and which
well,
would be
psychotic is the fourth.
right, right, and that would
So
be
narcissistic is personality. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
mhm.
Okay.
So, and that would be the last one. Psychotic would be like schizophrenia would be the most common one. So,
And I
um,
think those ones are like those ones are biological. Like you're born with those. Like it's not something that medicine can't like you're born with schizophrenia. It's a brain, it's in your brain. It's not like something that and I think it's also passed down too. Like it's actually
oh,
genetic. Yeah.
oh, see, I did not even. Okay, there
Yeah,
you go. No, I did
that's
not.
actually a genetic one. Yeah. Which kind of makes why it's a psychotic probably. What's the definition for psychotic disorders? What was the definition? Do you know?
Psychotic. Yeah, let's get that. Just 1 second. Psychotic disorders definition is psychotic disorders affects brain function by altering thoughts, beliefs, or perceptions.
Yeah, so that's biological. So something in your brain is actually affecting your beliefs and altering. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
So would it be so when I ask, okay, so it says the brain affects function by altering thoughts, beliefs, or perceptions. Could it be, is it, as if you're saying it's something that could be passed down, it is something that maybe is something passed down, and it's that what's been passed down is affecting one's ability to think or believe or perceive
Yeah, so
what is
it's
happening?
something that, yeah, so something that you're born with. Is that something
Mhm.
that you like, they say anxiety, like the first three, I don't think those are chemically induced,
Mhm.
whereas psychotic, it's like schizophrenia, is something in the brain and it causes you to think a certain way. So for example, like you're thinking someone's spying on you, like or hearing voices in your ear, or hearing
Mm,
voices, like that's like the psychotic type
right.
disorder, for example,
Got you.
or or like delusion, like you're seeing people, like you're seeing someone in front of you all the time, or you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's more of a psychosis where the thing personality is like obsessive compulsory, most simplest one. Someone who just has to always clean, like they can't, you know what I mean? Like they have to
Like
clean, or like everyone
OCD.
has different, yeah, OCD,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's obsessively, so that's more like a personality
Obsessive
disorder. So like
no,
those are
obsessive.
personality types, like
Yeah.
being like, narcissistic, obsessive, but they're extreme personality types versus psychotic. That's something that like only medicine can help you because
Mhm.
it's something the chemicals in your brain is causing you to not function or cause you to see certain things from what
Okay.
I gather. Again,
Okay.
but yeah, from what I've seen on here. So, but for folks, of course, please do your own research. Okay, we're not doctors here. Okay,
No, we're not. No,
but
we're not. And we walked through
do
this
not
together.
take
Yeah,
do not take
don't
what we're
don't
saying as
right.
100%.
We're just
Okay,
trying our best to
thank you very
it's a,
much. Disclaimer
yeah,
here, Faheem. I want no one saying, "Well, y'all think you." No, no, no. I'm just saying this from what I gathered. If we're
right.
incorrect, feel free to comment on
Right. Yeah.
YouTube
Feel
or
free
anywhere
to
else.
set it
Thank
straight.
you.
We're trying our best because, like we said, we weren't taught this, and we don't claim to be
We were
experts
not
in
taught
this
this at all.
at
You know
all.
what?
You know what I'm saying?
Honestly,
So.
I was taught this in psychology in my first year of university. That was it.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was it. But
Mhm.
in school, no. So I just think that, especially in the Black community, people of color community, Lord, we don't even, we say it's a demon inside you, or you know what I mean? Like we go back to the. I'm just saying, like how it is for him. Like, oh,
Mhm.
it's schizophrenia. No, it's actually, So I
Mhm.
mean, not everything's always a demon, right? Not everything's
Right.
always like extreme, like stuff. So I just think that we just have to learn these things, and someone in your family is struggling, someone in your circle of friends is struggling, and so be cognitive of it, especially during the winter months for him.
Mhm.
People are struggling with seasonal depression, especially in Canada, especially in
Mhm.
Vancouver. When I lived there, it was dark, like up until 12 p.m. You know what I'm saying? Like literally get like 2 hours of
Mhm.
sunlight every day. It was
Mhm.
crazy around this time of year in,
Mhm.
in Vancouver. I think they have the highest suicide rates, I believe, because of this that
Mhm.
because the sun is so low or less sun,
Right.
especially when the clocks go back. Oh my gosh. People are
So now
struggling,
is a
man.
perfect opportunity for Paul George. Timing couldn't be better because just coming out of this
Yes.
pandemic and the lockdowns and stuff. And
Mm,
I've heard, and I have no reason to believe otherwise, that that was a time where a lot of people were having some form of depression and some, whether it be
agreed.
financials coming in, relationship, like a lot of things that has changed for everybody of things that they
Agreed.
couldn't control outside of themselves, right? So, yeah, shout out to Paul George. And I think it's a great look for the league. I think that this should be something that should be more widely discussed. And having someone like Paul George behind it, hopefully maybe you can get some other people on board also and actually make this some movement because, like you just mentioned earlier about the NBA now accepting mental health is a legit reason to take time off. Um, that goes to show that the league is actually caring about the players well-being because it's in the player NBA's best interest also because if you have players who aren't healthy, these players aren't going to be able to perform that to the maximum, and then if they're not performing to the maximum, then that's going to hurt your ROI and come back to you. So you have to take care of your product. So
Agreed.
shout out to Paul George with this also.
Yeah, everything you said, man. Big up to what you just said. And strength, like mental health, affects anyone and everybody. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
don't have like I don't care how much muscle you have, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're struggling, talk to someone. It's okay to not be okay. All right.
Hmm.
don't ever think you're alone. Okay. So just want to get that out there as well. If anyone is struggling right now that's listening or watching with any mental health, have grace. And as fans, to your point, Faheem, we should have grace for players that struggle with this as well. At the time, of course, we didn't know when I did post a video of Paul George getting inside the backboard, but it was just really funny. But now that I know, I have to, have grace for Paul George in that moment. I'm calling myself out, man. I got to do it. It's on social media right now. Okay.
Uh, all right. So, Nelly J, you know what? Let's close this out with that's absurd.
That's absurd, Faheem, bro. What was absurd this week? What was absurd?
In the UFC, the ring girl, or I shouldn't say the, but a ring girl in particular, makes more money annually than most UFC fighters and champions. Absurd.
Absurd, but I disagree, Faheem. It
Wow.
is not absurd. Do you know
Hmm.
why? Because again,
Why?
I had to look into this, right? I was like,
Uh-huh.
there's no way how can she make more than them,
Hmm.
right? And what I realized is this woman, and I want to say her name because I don't want to say, just the green girl. Okay. So her name is Ariane Celeste. I don't want to say
Okay.
it wrong. Is that how you say it? Like, I don't want to say it, but Ariane Celeste.
Mhm.
And essentially, if you look at this entrepreneur, I call her, she has an OnlyFans page. She's also in real estate that makes her equity. So she's actually a hustler.
A
And she works as a ring girl who helps with the games. So she's making more money than them, but it's not because of the UFC only. She's actually has created a million, you know, a little million, not little million, but $1 million empire for herself from
Of
other
course.
streams of income. So I just think that, and I get it, like, big up to my mixtapes. It was a catchy, like, she makes
Mm.
$1 million annually through promotions. But keep in mind, the fighter, right? Depending on the fighter, if they're hiring her to do the match, right? If you're doing 10 matches a year, right? How often do UFC fighters fight? Twice a year? So we don't know how often, like who's hiring her, what the negotiations are. And typically for women in these fields, they're working the matches, they're working other parts of the promotion throughout the campaign, right? So again, it's absurd, but it really isn't because again, if you're making a lot of money from winning championships, I'm hoping that money's going towards investments for you. Talk about this, right? You fight the thing, cool. That money should be going to helping build on top of what you have. So
Mhm.
she makes $1 million annually, but that's actually a lie because apparently this rumor was started by uh our I guess two UFC knowns. So Ronda Rousey and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't say it wrong for him. You know the
Yeah,
last
you're good
name.
with I always
Yeah,
struggle with
so
that.
they're
We'll
the
go with
ones
Khabib. Yeah.
who yeah, so Khabib, yeah, so they're the ones who said, you know, they felt that so the tax came from them that the
Hmm.
fact that even Clarity said UFC ring girl Ariane Celeste, who is worth a reported 3.4 million, response to rumors that she's paid more than fighters after proves attacks on her profession by Ronda Rousey and Khabib. So at the end of the day, they're probably seeing her living her best life, and they're like, "Yo, how you have all this money?" But
Hmm.
hey, um, she don't have to tell us why she gets all that money.
No.
But she says that her response was because you're going out there and fighting and you're putting your brain cells on the line and effing ring card girls are making 70K, which is utterly effing ridiculous. That is what someone said about that.
Mhm.
So clearly she put the rumors to rest. But she did say that she has other streams of income.
Right.
And
And
we know
that's
OnlyFans, people make money off of OnlyFans all the
of
time. So
course, of
hey,
course. Yeah. So
yeah.
maybe that's what that was the misleading because when you hear that she's making more than champions and fighters, you assume it's just for what she's doing by walking in between each round. And it's not like it's boxing where there's like 12 rounds. It's like, UFC is like what, 3 rounds or something. It's like a shortened amount. So to walk around with a card, it seemed kind of ridiculous that she would get paid that much when you think of there's not much train. Like you can't compare a fighter to a ring girl, like fighters, the training, the hours that's put in I just don't know what kind of hours of put in of just walking around with the
Hey,
cart.
no,
But
no, no. But to keep that body and the way their body looks for him, they gotta like eat nothing or eat
right,
like strict diet. They probably
that's
train
fair.
every day too. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fair. That's fair.
To keep their body like that.
That's
Listen,
fair.
for
That's
me as a
fair.
thick girl, I look at them like, good for you, sweetie, good for you, because I ain't doing all that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Khabib apparently called ring girls the most useless people in martial arts. Like, you know what I'm saying? So people have been hating on these on ring girls.
Right.
And McGregor actually mocked him one time with a meme of Khabib, like, what's Mr. Burns, his like the helper, Mr. Burns, like his
Yeah, yeah, I know with the glasses and
not the
yeah, I'm
glasses, we got
building
his
it.
name, but
Yeah.
there's a meme of him covering his eyes, Smithers covering his
Smithers.
eyes,
Smithers.
and then like you have Celeste and Brittany Palmer like dancing over near him and stuff. Yo, man. But listen, they're working hard like everybody else. Like I've learned in
Mhm,
every job has its plus and its negative. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm.
People think they're not smart. People think because they do that job, they're like what they think is invaluable. I think women in that position has a lot of power and they
Mhm,
probably hear and see a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So we can't assume because what they're doing is useless. Like I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. But anyway,
Okay.
that's just me.
No,
But
that's fair. That's fair. So, and I guess the ring girls, if they want to have a response, what's that movie? Or it's the slogan was they hate us because they ain't us. I'm not sure what movie it
hey,
was. I'm not sure what movie it was, but it was a funny quote. But anyway, that's why I think the USC ring girls really are at. Like, they are making a lot of money for doing something that doesn't seem like it's a lot of work. But sometimes it's not people who work the hardest don't always get paid the most. That's reality, right? So even, your
listen.
your
So let's
boss might do less work and get paid more than you, right? So
exactly. And I know people who work for someone but are making a lot of money outside of work, right? Like
mm,
they're investing
good
their
point.
money, they're owning properties, but they work the 9 to 5 to keep something consistent, but they're doing other
Right,
investments outside of work, right?
right.
I know someone who's investing in huge properties and they work in an HR department. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, it's like you can't take someone's job. Like your job is one, but if you want to generate wealth, they always say you have to have at least multiple streams of
Streams of
income,
income, right?
right? And fighters should
Diversify.
do that too, right? And the
Of
great ones like
course.
McGregor, they're doing, or like our boy Floyd,
Hmm.
Mayweather, like they
Hmm.
understand that's business. I'm gonna
Hmm.
fight, but he's making money from his promotions outside the ring. That's how
Hmm.
you make all that money. So
Right,
I just
right.
think example of, hey, if you're a ring girl, you can also use who you meet and in those spaces to network
Hmm.
and get investors. To
Right,
me, I think it's freaking smart. Big up to
right.
you, Celeste. Yo, I'm like, yo,
Yeah, yeah.
listen,
I appreciate you setting that straight because now I kind of have a little bit of a different take with it. And I do think that now knowing this, perhaps if that is an issue, that a ring girl is making more money than guys who get in the ring, perhaps the guys in the ring, you already have your celebrity already. Why not network with her or ask her what she's doing or,
yeah,
try, what I mean? Like leverage.
network, leverage that connection, right?
I would think so. I would think so.
It
Anyways.
makes sense. And it's the thing about fighters, right? And this is my thing with like black people. We're known to be, in these spaces of sports. You meet so much people like traveling on the road, in hotels, restaurants, like you're meeting people every day in your profession. Use that
Hmm.
time to network, create strategic partnership, right? And find ways to not only invest your money, but but get influence, which I
Yeah.
think is something that we don't even look to do in our community. So instead of knocking someone who's being successful, like oh my gosh, I shared this post on Instagram for him. It said, haters don't got time to hate because they're so busy trying to get stuff done,
Right.
right? And if you're doing better than them, they're like, yo, hold up, right? Sorry, haters hate because they're not busy enough. They're not, what I'm saying? But true people who are successful, they don't got time to hate because they're too busy doing stuff. They're too busy trying to get to, and if, hey, you're doing really well, what are you doing? What are you up to? Let me ask
Mhm.
you questions before I just want to give hate. So I think we got to ask questions and learn from people like Celeste who are actually investing their money than assume that, oh, they're getting paid more than us. It's not fair. Well, she's making more money than you. That's it. That's it. Sorry.
All right. So Nelly J, that's it. Let's put this episode in the books.
Episodes in the books, y'all. That was the Good Rookie Show. And sorry, gal, if I butchered your name just now, Ariani, Celeste, and Khabib, I apologize, y'all. Okay,
Mm.
I'm like Faheem. This is the episode of grace.
Right.
We both messed up names today. But yo, as you know, Faheem, this is a time we like to give shout outs. Okay. So my shout out this week, I actually had a player, but now I want to dial it back to just like us, the people. I think this is a time for us to really make sure that we're checking on our friends, the people that, maybe if maybe someone was on your mind the past week, but you haven't heard from them, reach out to them. Say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Is everything good? You don't know if that can save someone's life or not. So I'm just hoping, I'm challenging everyone, Faheem, to reach out to someone this week that you haven't heard from in a while. Just check in on somebody. Say, hey, how are you? Thought about you. You're good. That's it. That's my tats for y'all. Okay, for good rookies, people them. That's it, Faheem. Passing it to you, bro.
Nice. I like that. I'm gonna do a quick shout out to the World Cup. It's coming up just in November 21st, right around the corner. So, whatever country you're rooting for, best of luck to you. Then the announcements for most rosters were made just today, the day that we're filming or recording. So, just a shout out to World Cup as that's been going on. We'll have a lot more. That's going to be an interesting time. Yeah. So shout out to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar.
I want to add another shout out because I hope he does do this. Rumor has it that Messi might come to play for Inter Miami, and I've been talking about
In the
this because I'm
MLS.
like, in MLS, Faheem. But if Messi comes to the MLS, Faheem, how much more valuable will every team be, do you think,
Oh
with
yeah,
Messi coming over here?
yeah.
Imagine
Yesterday's
everywhere
prices.
he plays. Like, do you think ticket prices are gonna triple? Like, how bad do you think it's gonna get?
Well, actually,
What do you think?
yeah, definitely. Whenever he comes to your respective city, that ticket would be, like you said, triple. I could see it totally being, yeah, definitely a triple effect, most definitely. In regards to the value, we've seen a lot of more younger players who are more established coming to the MLS now. It's not so much as time going on. It's kind of shedding that whole retirement league. There's
Mm-hmm.
around the world. So if and like it's all alleged, but if he does come. Um, that
Come,
would be
come. Sorry.
Beckham came, and Beckham was a really big explosion for the league. This could be the new Beckham type explosion, most definitely. So we'll keep an eye on that,
Yeah.
most def.
But Messi, I think people are gonna fly in to watch him from like South America. Like I think it's gonna be
Oh,
that point
yeah.
where it's
Mhm.
going to be like really crazy if
Yeah,
he
I would be
comes.
really. Mhm.
And there's a few players from Europe that said they thought it was that league, and when they played, they were humbled at how hard it
Right.
was to compete.
hmm
They were like,
hmm
"Oh, but wow, we gotta try. We can't even, oh, you know what I'm saying?" So,
Right.
but if he comes, man, I hope so. I might
Most
buy a
def.
house in Miami. I might just go bankrupt and buy a house in Miami for him. I don't know, man. Messi, North America, yo,
That'd be
crazy.
pretty
So I'm a
sick.
big Messi fan. Anyways,
hmm
anyways, but
All
yeah,
right.
yep.
All right.
See
Let's put it in the
y'all.
books.
Yep, all that was the Good Rookie Show. If you had a good time, you enjoyed yourself, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Faheem.
We're on all platforms if you're looking for us. It's a good rookie show. And we out. Peace.
Peace.